In this session, we will debunk myths about Amazon Choice and bestseller badges, and how these badges can help to make your Amazon products more successful on Amazon Marketplace. My guest today will be Jim Mann from Getida, and this session is part of the Seller Fest Online virtual event, which we are running with 40 different Amazon experts. And this event and this session is sponsored by two companies. The first one is Getida. They are global leaders in Amazon FBA reimbursement and auditing solutions. So if you are selling on Amazon, get their free audit, and they will be able to find money which Amazon owes you. So check them out. You will find the link below in the description, and probably you will get some money for free, which you didn't know you have, or Amazon owes you. The second company which sponsors this session is VAA Academy. They provide virtual assistant services for e-commerce sellers. If you're selling on Amazon, Walmart, or even on TikTok shops, you can get help with their professionals, professional VAs, part-time, full-time, doesn't matter what. They can help you in every part of your e-commerce business. Check their link below in the description. And now I think it's time to invite our guest for this session, Jim Mann. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Augustus. How are you? Nice to see you.
Good. I'm good. I hope you're also well. And I'm honored to have this session because Getida makes this Seller Fest Online event possible with their great sponsorship. We're long time partners.
We are.
Participating
you've been
in every
knocking out
event.
great content for years. Yeah, you're part of you're an institution now. The live events, the virtual events, the online webinars. Like, we're a big fan of everything OrangeClick does. I think you and all the other partners contribute a lot to the seller community. So that's why we're really happy to support this event.
Yeah, thank you very much. And actually, the reason why we're running Seller Fest Online is because recently we got 20,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. And we are happy to grow further on YouTube and put more content for you. And now I think we can, I think, Jim, you can introduce yourself unless it's part of the slides.
Sure.
And then we will go directly to the content.
Sounds good. I'm going to share screen, and I'll do an instruction as I go through some slides as well. Let me just quickly get the right tab up for you.
And those who are watching live, if you have questions during the presentation, type them in the live chat, and Jim will answer them later. If you're watching the replay, also type them in the comment section below, and we will ask Getida, Jim, their team to answer these questions as well. So I see the presentation on the screen, ready to go.
Okay, brilliant. And yeah, guys, webinars can be a little bit dull, so please engage, ask questions. If there's something you want to dig deep into, very happy to pause. We'll have Q&A at the end. And just feel free to dive in. Tell us where you are, where you're watching from, anything that you want to know more about. I'm going to be focusing in this session about how we can make more profit on Amazon. I mean, I think one of the big things that everyone's talking about and has been for some time now is it's not so much about how much you sell on Amazon, it's about whether you've got a sustainable business. And that's the thing that's critical going forward, because, and we'll talk a bit about this in a minute, but there are always people taking chunks of your profit, whether it be in fees and advertising. And so I'm going to share some data, and I'm going to share some strategies that I believe you can take an action from this presentation that will help you drive some profitable sales in the next 7 days. So if I haven't done that at the end, tell me, and I'll make myself accountable to that. So let's get going. A bit about me. I, many years ago, worked in consulting. For about 9 years, I worked with big sort of FTSE 100 and Fortune 500 companies, specializing in leadership. As part of that, we worked a lot with M&A, post M&A. We worked with culture change and everything to do with mindset and getting an organization to adopt a new strategy and change their processes very quickly is what we did. I had a great time, worked for 9 years, worked with some household names that you would all know. But I had a bit of an early midlife crisis. I knew I didn't want to do it forever. So I moved to Spain, took a bit of a radical choice in life, moved down to the south of Spain, and ended up opening a kite surf school in a place called Tarifa. And if you haven't been there, I'd encourage anyone to go there. For me, it's paradise. It still is. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, I had 4 children at that time in a period of 5 years. So I loved my lifestyle. I had a kite surf school, but I needed to think about earning some more money again. And this is when I heard about Amazon. And I bought a course on how to sell on Amazon, like we all do. And this was 2013. So by 2014, we were already doing $1 million. And we built that to an 8-figure business in 2020. Now, unfortunately, in 2020, I got hit by COVID. I was in the travel category. So whilst everyone's businesses were going up in a good way, I pretty much got bankrupted overnight. You know, there were no planes in the sky. There were no cruise ships in the water. And I was 100% in that niche where all of my products were travel products that went in suitcases and cruise ships or planes. So I pivoted. My team and I created an agency managing $3 million plus sellers. And then I joined a company called Thrasio, who some of you will know. And we raised $3.4 billion. We were buying Amazon native brands. We rolled up to nearly $1.5 billion in revenue, bought over 200 companies. And I was head of M&A in Europe. So why is that relevant? I looked at a lot of Amazon businesses and I could see patterns that drove successful brands and not so successful brands. And I'll share some of the stuff that I learned on that as well. More recently, I'm now head of Europe for Getida. Getida, as Augustus mentioned, we get 1 to 3% of annual revenue back for FBA sellers, which is 1 to 3% extra profit, or it's 1 to 3% extra cash flow you can put into hiring people, into PPC. So in a world of margin compression, I'm very, very happy to be working with a company like Getida, where we're squeezing every bit of cash flow back into the business that allows people to reinvest and grow their businesses. So that's a bit about me. A bit about the outlook now on FBA. I think most people will agree that Amazon now is not any easier than it was a year ago or 3 years ago. Advertising costs are not going down. Advertising strategies have to be more sophisticated. Managing TAC costs is more difficult, and there are many ad widgets and platforms now that are there vying for attention. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but in general, people are having to spend more on advertising, which again munches way through your margin. Amazon are introducing fees all the time, increasingly complex, low inventory fees, overstock fees. Recently, they've just updated reimbursement terms. So it seems that whether it be through advertising or inventory fees, Amazon is increasingly taking a larger piece of gross revenue. And for most brands now, that means 50 to 60% of their gross revenue now goes back to Amazon. And I think this is a conversation that's not had often enough. People talk about referral fees, talk about FBA fees, people talk about advertising in isolation and some of the other fees. When people look in the mirror and go, Amazon now takes 50, 60, sometimes 70% of my gross revenue, that's pretty scary. So this is why it's really important to focus on margin right now. And every incremental decision you can make that impacts 1, 2, 3% is significant. And then, of course, at the moment, very contextual shipping costs with what's been happen in Suez, products on the water for longer, containers have gone back up, not like we had in COVID, but shipping again is getting expensive. Competition, there's no doubt Amazon is the platform you want to be on because the amount of customers there. But of course, what that means is huge competition. And then with Amazon, it's was it 50% of revenue on Amazon that's managed from China. Most people who are selling online will have an Amazon channel focus. So we've got to be top of our game now to compete and make money selling on the channel. Now you put this all together, margin is tough. So I'm going to talk a little bit about margin today. This is the main focus for me. I obsess about margin because going back to the Thrasio days, 2 or 3 years ago, you could have an FBA business delivering 20% EBITDA relatively easily. Now, it's very hard to get much beyond 10 or 15% EBITDA. People have lost 5% in 4 years off their margin. And that's 5% off the value of their company if they want to sell it. And most people in this game are actually in this to sell at some point. So this is really significant. Something I want to talk about as well, which is linked to advertising. And you guys might have talked about this on some of the other calls you've had, Augustus. we work a lot with agencies, and increasingly agencies and brands do not have budget to drive top of funnel awareness anymore. Now, DSP helps on that, and DSP can work really well for some brands. So I don't want to drill down on that, but there's a general trend and belief in the market that we've got to get down the funnel. Sales revenue is important, but ultimately, any investment in advertising has to show an immediate revenue and ideally profitable sale. Right now, there are some categories where you can have high cost of acquisition because you have lifetime value, because people are buying 30-40% of your customers repeat order. But even then, there's a huge focus in the market for agencies and brands to focus on that bottom of funnel. If I spend bottom of funnel, if I spend $1 today, what will it give me tomorrow? I don't have time or money or cash flow now to invest in a brand that may be profitable in 12 months' time. That's a luxury that most people just don't have anymore. And most of you all know who this guy is, Warren Buffett. We talk about enterprise value, we talk about liquidity moments, we talk about exits. You know, at the end of the day, if you're looking to sell your business, it will be most likely a multiple of your EBITDA that drives the value of your business, which is why margin is so important. It doesn't matter if you sell 10 million, if you make 3% EBITDA, someone else who's selling 10 times less with 5 times more margin could get a better valuation than you. So, of course, depending on where you are in the life cycle of your brand and of your business, you might choose to run low margin whilst you're scaling. But at some point, margin becomes critical, because if you want to sell your business, it will be sold for a multiple of EBITDA. So you've always got to have it top of mind. Even if you're operating on scale mode at low margin, you have to know when the time comes how to turn that dial into margin. So let's look at some of the profit drivers. Brand. So some people are very lucky. They have a brand. Okay, they've either taken someone else's brand and reselling on Amazon, or they've done a fantastic job of building an audience and a brand, or they have IP that's protected and differentiated. Right now, if you don't have some kind of differentiation, either by audience or by IP and design of the product, it's very difficult to build a sustainable business, because the speed at which people can copy you is frightening. You might find a product, a niche, you might do your review analysis, you might find some search terms that are not being met right now. You can be almost certain that other people are on the same parallel journey to you. And by the time that product hits the shelves on FBA, there will be other people before you or around the same time launching very similar. So more than ever, differentiation and IP are critical to build a sustainable Amazon business, which is the key to all of this. A lot of people talk about COGS. I'm not going to focus on that. You know, cost of goods, of course, you can try and save 10% on your cost of goods, but actually, overall, 10% saving on your cost of goods when your product might be 15% of the actual retail value of the product, it's not that significant. What can be really significant is negotiating terms with your supplier, get 90-day payment terms, work their cash flow, not yours. It allows you to scale much quicker. And packaging. Okay, a lot of brands coming onto Amazon now are not native Amazon brands. So they have the brand lead, they have the brand edge. What they don't have, which Amazon native sellers do, is that obsession and understanding of size tiers and the impact that has on FBA fees. If you can redesign a product to go down a size tier that no one else has worked out how to do, you transform the profitability of that SKU. And we saw this in at Frasco. This is an extreme example, but we acquired a mop brand. It had this huge, great big long handle. Shipping it was expensive, and storing it in FBA was expensive. Whilst we were doing the diligence, or pre-diligence, we spoke to our supply chain team and we redesigned the mop to have a telescopic design that brought it down $5 a unit in FBA fees. That's not even accounting for the shipping costs into FBA. This was a $49 product, transformed it just by redesigning the packaging to optimize it for FBA tiers. So I think one of the biggest edges, and this edge will go, every edge has a window of time. There's still an opportunity right now to look at how you can optimize packaging for size tiers that a lot of brands are not doing. They kind of know about it, but they're not doing it. You know, it's that common sense, but not common practice. Very common. People might know about it. Not enough brands take the time to work with supply chain, redesign their packaging, and get down a size tier. It can be massive. It can transform margin and get you back to maybe where you were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Price. Not enough people test their pricing. And I don't know if anyone's willing to jump in here and share any experience, but when I talk about this live at events with 7, 8, 9-figure sellers, very experienced, very good sellers, I find who's testing price in the last 6 months, 3 months, I find less than 20% of the room will change their price. There is a massive fear of changing price. We are limited by our beliefs in life, period. Pricing is one of those things that we hugely limit our beliefs, hugely limit our confidence to take action. The quickest and fastest way to drive margin into your business is to get your price up. Now, it's frightening. There are softwares out there that take all the stress out of it. But if you can go up $1 a unit, $2 a unit, and you can use a tool that will test, the relationship between price, velocity, and conversion, which of course is very important for organic keyword ranking. If you can squeeze price up a little bit, you can transform your margin very quickly. And you think about all the clever tactics that we've all tried over the years, the most simple and immediately impactful way to drive margin tomorrow is to test price. So again, this is not rocket science. It's common sense. It's not common practice. I'd really encourage everyone who's not already doing this, please, please, please test price. Use tools, remove the fear, remove the emotion. Let a tool do that for you. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes you put price up. And I'll give you an example. I do this as a shopper. I'll look at a $25 commoditized product. I'll look at the listings. They all look very similar. One is $2 more. I quickly convince myself there's probably something there. There's a reason why that product is being ranked so well and has all these reviews, costs $2 more. There may be something nice about the packaging. There may be something nice about the way it's finished or the design. I'll often pay $2 more just because I believe irrationally there may be something better about that product. So being slightly more premium on price than other people can often drive increased velocity, increased conversion, and make you more money. But the only way to know that is to test it. Okay. We're going to talk a bit about images and copy in a minute, but of course, let's think about the most important image. The image to obsess over. You can have a most beautiful listing, but if you don't have a high click-through rate on your main image, it doesn't matter how well SEO'd, how beautiful your listing is, how well you've written the copy, or how lovely the images are. No one even opens the door to have a look because they're not clicking through on that main image. So a bit like price, obsessively test, obsessively go into brand analytics and see what your click-through rates are compared to others on your main image. Click-through rate on main image is one of the biggest drivers or door openers to then selling. If you can't get people clicking through, you won't sell anything. It's that simple. So obsess about your main image. I'm going to talk about PPC strategy in a minute, and Augusta said that we're talking about bestseller badge and Amazon's choice, and we'll talk about that in a second. DSP is a whole area that I'm not a specialist in. I would say that it works really well for some people. It doesn't for others. You want to have your hand held by an agency for sure, but go in with cautiously with DSP. It works brilliantly for some and really doesn't for others. And then external traffic, similarly to DSP, external traffic, if you can nail micro-influencers or a cheaper source of external traffic, not only could you potentially be driving sales at a lower cost per click than on Amazon's internal PPC, but you also, Amazon will reward you for that external traffic because they know 50% of their sales will bounce off your listing and go in and buy something else. So it will help with ranking. You can get 10% affiliate fee from Amazon on their program where they get the brand referral bonus, where they give you the 10% of revenue from your business, from your product if you drive external traffic and someone buys it. So there's no doubt Amazon will thank you for sending in external traffic. So that was all big picture. Let's get into the meat here. So I've got 3 specific strategies to drive profit in 2024 and beyond. So this requires a bit of interaction, guys. So would anyone like to stick their neck out here and tell me which one of these they think drives more profit?
Okay, so the question is, which of these badges drives more traffic? So we can wait until people...
More profit, more profit.
More profit, more profit. So Amazon Choice, as Arun says, more people, there are almost 30 people watching. Amazon Choice, the second answer. So people, so far 2 people say it's Amazon Choice.
Okay. We'll give the guys some time to come in with some more guesses. Has anyone here ever watched the Vikings series? I'm sure some people have. And what you'll find is that Vikings seem to love dying. As long as they're holding their sword on the battlefield, they go to Valhalla. And Valhalla is some kind of heaven for Vikings. And I see this with Amazon FBA sellers. They believe that once they've got the bestseller badge, they will go to Amazon Valhalla. Because once we all have the bestseller badge on Amazon, we will be able to retire, sell our businesses, everything will be good. And you see this all the time. There's this belief that I will get the bestseller badge and I will go to Valhalla. And we saw this at Thrasio, and I see it all the time. To get the bestseller badge, you often drop price, blast PPC money, drive in external traffic, do everything you can to drive sales velocity and conversion to get the unit velocity up to bestseller badge. Unfortunately, unless your product rightfully deserves to be there, it's unsustainable. And you may well have just put yourself out of business in the process of trying to achieve it. So let's talk a little bit around these 2 badges. So one of the badges, the bestseller badge, or Amazon's Choice, gives you a 17% increase in traffic. 17% increase in traffic. I'm going to talk through this because I think with the delay, it's hard to get people engaged here. So let's talk through this. And this data, by the way, can you see this? Comes from 37,000 products from a research company called Profitero. So, Profitero, as far as I can make out, don't really have an agenda here. 37,000 products makes the data pretty valid. The data is a couple of years old, but I still think it's pretty valid. So look at this. Amazon's Choice gives you a 17% increase in traffic. The bestseller badge gives you 45% more traffic on your listing by having that badge, 45% more traffic. It's a lot of traffic. 17% more traffic for Amazon's Choice badge. Now, one of these 2 gives you a 25% increase in conversion. So we're not talking about traffic, we're talking about conversion. And one gives you a 3% increase in conversion. So bestseller badge gives you 45% increase in traffic. Amazon's Choice gives you 25% increase in conversion. Conversion. Now, which one do you want? Which one's most important, conversion or traffic?
Probably conversion, right?
Yeah, right. So what drives the most relevant signal to Amazon about your product? It's conversion. What drives keyword ranking? I mean, there's other factors, but it's conversion. All the funnels everyone builds to rank their product are pretty much driven by conversion. So Amazon's Choice, if I take a step back for a minute, how many of your friends could tell you the difference between Amazon's Choice and the bestseller badge? I would say not one. And even a lot of sellers cannot tell you. So just to be clear, the bestseller badge is the product that shifts the most units in a category, sales velocity in a category. Amazon's Choice is nothing to do with velocity. It's to do with mainly conversion on the search term. So you can have a choice badge. So if we think about wine glasses, I could have long stem wine glass, red wine glass, white wine glass, goblet wine glass. Each one of those will have an Amazon's Choice badge. And you could have Amazon's Choice badge for each of those search terms. Now, if you have the choice badge for the search term that someone's just put in, they are very likely going to convert. You can see by the 25% increase in conversion. Now, if you have the bestseller badge, for some reason, you get a ton more traffic, but that listing only converts 3% more. So you could spend a lot of time and money getting that bestseller badge like I was talking about. You go to battle, you go in there, you drop your price, you blast on PPC, you drive in external traffic, you create sophisticated funnels. And at the end of it, you get a huge amount of traffic, you only convert 3% more. Now, if you do the math, you will actually sell a bit more in a 30-day period with that 3% increase in conversion of 45% more traffic. But the cost of getting there for most people puts them out of business. It's not sustainable. So what I want people to think about here is the power of Amazon's Choice Badge, and I'm going to talk about how we get it. And there's a summary slide. So how do we get the Amazon Choice Badge? And by the way, why do we want to do the Amazon Choice Badge? To get the bestseller badge basically means like betting the bank on a product when you launch it. That's what you're kind of doing. You're going to the casino and you're going to the high stakes table and you're betting your house on a product launch to get the bestseller badge. It's really high risk. And in a world of increasingly high failure rate with launches, you don't want to do that. You may be able to afford one, but you can't afford two, and you certainly can't afford 3 failed product launches. Okay, so now to build, coming back to this main theme, sustainable, profitable business, Amazon's Choice Badge is a way to build sustainable growth, profitable growth into your business. So how do we do it? Go to Search Term Query Report. In there, you will see the keywords for which your product already converts very highly on. That's what you want to double down on. You find your best converting keywords. Then go to your images. Think about how we all buy. Unless it's a $500 product, we search, we have a look at the images. Do they talk to my search term? Specifically, very important. People are not looking so much at bullet points anymore, especially on mobile. They're tucked away down at the bottom somewhere. So what are people doing? What's the buying process? Images. Do those images talk to the specific search term? Is the price about right? And the reviews. Are there a decent amount of reviews that give me confidence to convert? If you tick those boxes, you will convert highly on that search term. And you keep repeating that for different varieties of similar search terms. And you start stacking Amazon's Choice Badges. Very important. Once you convert highly, bid like hell on those keywords. The algorithm will give you high relevancy on your bids because they see the conversion. And we all know that, you can't be selling like white wine glasses with a long stem and have like a beer jug and you can try and bid on that, but the algorithm will see it's irrelevant. And if it gives you impressions, they will be crazy. It will give you impressions if it sees you as very relevant. So this whole thing is tied in to not only ranking for Amazon's Choice, but also reducing bleed on your PPC campaigns. This is a really simple, stackable strategy for building performance, profit, and sales on a SKU. I hope that makes sense. If anybody got any questions on that, I'm happy to stop and talk about it a bit more.
People were more discussing why is it so that Amazon Choice Badge has more conversions. Somebody is saying maybe because it leads, I think because of the lower price. Maybe is it possible that Amazon is putting Amazon Choice Badge when it's a cheaper product? No.
No, it's search term specific. It's search term specific. So the Choice Badge, Amazon is saying, based on your search term you've put into Amazon, this product is most relevant to what you've just asked me to serve you. It's search term specific. Bestseller Badge just tells you that in the wine glass category, this product sells more units per day than anyone else. That's the bestseller badge. Amazon's Choice is search term specific. That's the difference.
Great. And
now, does the customer know that? No. they just what I do it, we all do it subconsciously, and we even know what we're doing, and we still get sucked in. When you see the Amazon's Choice Badge, it's a big endorsement that Amazon thinks this is the best product for what I've just searched for. That's why it converts.
And Doc Asar says, this one is also great. So much common sense. We lack sometimes. So yeah,
it's simple, right? The best things in life are always simple. This is why I love this. It's simple and it's impactful, and you don't have to bet the bank on it. You can just do it a little bit. It takes discipline, right? It takes method. You start with one, you stack another one, you stack another one, and over time you might get the bestseller badge because you've built up sales velocity through stacking Amazon's Choice badge, and you start going for higher, more competitive search terms over time. But at the beginning, for product launch, you want to be picking off search terms that are mid-volume and less competitive, and you've got a good chance for ranking, getting Choice badge for. And then over time, you get more aggressive. Don't bet the bank, don't bet the house on day one. That's crazy.
Yeah, and one more question. You mentioned search term query report. Adoretta is asking, what intervals should we be checking this report? 7 days, 14 days? Like how often?
I think that it depends on your sales velocity and how much time you have. But I think once a week at least, you should be seeing trends in there. You want to be seeing your conversion data. You want to be seeing how your competitors are converting. Right? There's the search term query report and brand analytics. There's forever more data coming in there. It's very powerful data. So the more comfortable you can get with what's in there and what it means and what you can do with it, the better.
Great. And actually, we had another session recently about brand analytics, what metrics you can get there. So check that video.
Yeah, I would really encourage. Yeah. Go and geek out on that. Honestly, it's huge. It's in a world of data-driven decisions. That's where the most powerful data is, I think, for all sales. I don't want to exaggerate, but it's a goldmine. It's a great place to go and geek out.
Perfect.
Okay, so moving on. This is another strategy. Okay, so day parting. What does it mean? Day parting, well, I'm going to take a step back. In a world where we are all trying to reduce our advertising spend because it's killing most people, a very simple tactic is day parting. What is day parting? You do not want people to be clicking on your adverts unless they are serious about buying and converting. And let me show you this in practice. This is data taken for e-commerce. It depends on the channel and the kind of product, but this is really interesting. Look at this. This shows the time of day, 10 a.m. until about 8:30, people are buying. And then after that, you look at 9 o'clock, people are at home having dinner, chilling, watching TV. They might be browsing on their phone, having a look at products. Intent to buy drops off massively. So you do not want to be paying for clicks when people are browsing with no intent to buy. So, and then map this onto the day of the week. A lot of Amazon sellers, their biggest sales days are Sunday evening, Monday morning. Why? They've had their weekend, they've talked to their friends about what to buy, or they're just thinking about stuff they need. They get into practical mode, they get into high intent mode on a Sunday night, they start buying. Or they hit the desk on Monday morning, they clear their inbox, 10 o'clock in the morning, they're like, okay, I'm going to do some retail therapy. I hate my job. It's Monday morning. So you look at this, Monday, biggest sales day. Saturday, slowest sales day. People are with their friends, their family, playing sport. They're not buying. So you combine time of day and day of week and bid like hell on those high intent hours, that's when you will sell. You need, where you can, to not be paying for dead clicks after 9 o'clock at night. Now, every category, every product and price point will be slightly different, but this stands pretty true to a lot of products that we all sell. So like everything, test it. Amazon is introducing day parting as in beta for some accounts. At the moment, unfortunately, if you want to do it yourself, you either have to go in and switch on and off ad campaigns, which is difficult, or you work with an agency that has that built into their software. But day parting can be huge. And here's an example. A friend of mine reduced their TACOS from 17% to 10% just by day parting. That's 7% increase in annual profit just by day parting. This is the significance of it. Common sense, not common practice. So please, if you can, find a way of testing price, go and do Amazon's Choice badge, and please test day parting. It can make a huge difference on your margins. Imagine what you would do with another 7% of revenue. You could launch products, you could run campaigns, you could hire an agency, you could hire staff, a lot of cash flow. Okay, final thing. So I promised you 3 things. Reimbursements is another source of cash flow. Let me show you. Now, obviously, I work with Catida, so I'm doing a shameless pitch here for Catida. Even if you do this yourself or you work with another reimbursement company, I believe we're the best, but let's leave that aside. Let's look at why reimbursement cash flow is so important. Reimbursement should deliver you 1 to 4% of your annual revenue back, extra cash flow. If you take that and put it into PPC yourself or with an agency, you should be able to 3x every dollar you put into PPC. If your ad campaigns are not returning 3x ROAS, you probably want to question that campaign or that agency that's doing the campaign. So very simple math: 1 to 3% or 1 to 4% of extra revenue times 3 gives you 3 to 12% top line growth in your business. You don't have to hire any extra people. You don't have to find any new cash. You are just taking cash that's in your business, being pulled out via reimbursements, reinvesting it into a multiplier called PPC, and you're growing your business 3 to 12% without virtually no distraction. It's very simple, very powerful. And to put that into context, this is real numbers from a client that was doing just under 6 million a year in revenue. We got them $68,000 back in cash flow. Now, like I said, $68,000 put into PPC, that could drive huge amounts of revenue. If you're thinking about hiring an agency but you're not sure you can afford it, you've just got your agency fees covered and some, or you've got your agency fees covered and some cash to give them to invest in PPC. You want to launch a new product to put it into inventory, it's $60,000 to launch a product. Or for a lot of entrepreneurs who are super stretched and trying to spin many plates as the Amazon FBA ecosystem gets more complicated, here's some cash flow to hire some talent, some specialist talent to cover one of the things that you least like, to free you up to do the stuff you're best at. For a lot of FBA entrepreneurs, it's product sourcing, selection, brand. They don't like finance. They don't like supply chain. They don't like some of that sticky stuff. You know, you can hire a fractional CFO or a fractional CMO or an agency just by leveraging reimbursement cash flow. That's the power of reimbursements, which is why our Catida's tagline, you can see at the bottom there, is more than money back. Yes, we get your money back, but what can you do with that money? Okay. If you're not already a Catida customer, scan that QR code. You can test us out. We'll get you $400 back. We won't charge you a penny or a cent or a dollar or a euro. And if you're happy with the service, which I hope you would be, you'll carry on. If not, you can cancel us. We don't lock you into any contract. So you can test us out. We'll get you $400, zero fees. Just scan that. It'll take you to a landing page. And within a week or so, we'll be getting money back for you. Augustus,
Great.
how are we doing for time?
Yeah, we're good. 40 minutes in. You have more?
I have a little bit more. Yeah, I'll fly through it. I'll fly through
Let's do it. Yeah.
So, as I mentioned at the top of the call, I used to work in consulting. I read a lot of general stuff around business. And this Accenture published this at early part of this year, actually. It's called Accenture Life Trends. So I think all of us as entrepreneurs, we're trying to work out, how do we meet customers' needs and how is the world changing around us? And as an entrepreneur, how do we move quicker than others in order to deliver value to our customers? So here's something I read that really caught my eye, and that whenever I talk to people, we're like, wow, this is serious data. And it's from Accenture. So Accenture is one of the most trusted consulting firms in the world. So the data should be pretty legitimate. Now, if you look here, 39% of people aged 18 to 34 are excited about conversational answers over standard internet searches. So they're saying 39% of 18 to 34-year-olds are now not going to use Google. And then you go across here, 42% of people are comfortable with the idea of using conversational AI to find product recommendations. So people are moving to ChatGPT or AI to get product recommendations. They're moving away from Google. This is a massive shift for brands, for agencies, for everyone. The QR code there, by the way, takes you through to this PDF. So if you want to read this in full, scan the QR code and it takes you to Accenture's website and you can look at the full PDF. There's a few other trends in there that you might find interesting as well. And then whilst we're talking about AI, which is people talk about too much, I know, but this is really significant. Some of you will have heard about Cosmo and Rufus. What is this? Rufus is in beta in mobile app now for some customers in the US. It's a product recommendation tool inside Amazon. So Amazon is now giving AI product recommendations via Rufus. Cosmo is the new algorithm. Now, I'm not going to, this is a whole another webinar. If you want to see exactly what's happening, scan that QR code. They'll take you through to a paper published by Amazon that explains how Cosmo works, the new Amazon algorithm. As an Amazon seller, you need to read this. It's heavy duty. It's not fun. If you're not a big reader, it will kill you. But there's some infographics in there that will give you the sense of what's happening. And it talks about, for example, it would look at, I think there's one example for pregnant ladies. So they can see buying history for a pregnant woman. And so they will, if that same customer then types in slippers, they know probably that's a pregnant lady looking for slippers to wear at home after birth. And it will start recommending, not giving search returns, not just for slippers, but other related post-birth products that they think would be relevant to that customer. That stuff never happened before. This is a big shift in the algorithm. It also requires a shift in how we write listings, because the bullet points, according to a lot of people now, are there to inform the language model of Cosmo rather than to sell to the customer. And also, who reads bullet points now on mobile? They're shoved down below. No one reads them anymore. So it causes a bit of a rethink on how we write listings and how the customer experience is happening. And I don't think anyone really fully understands it now. I've seen some people that I respect and trust talk about it. Most people are quoting from this white paper, which if you scan the QR code, you can read yourself. And then you probably know as much as anyone else does in the world right now on this new Cosmo algorithm. Okay, so 3 takeaways. Amazon's choice strategy. Please think about how you can use that. It's very, very powerful. Day parting. Don't spend money when people are not intending to buy. Typically, at night, beyond about 8:30 is when the biggest bleed on PPC budgets happens because everyone's at home, bored, clicking. And then reimbursement cash flow. Please make sure that you're running reimbursements for your business and that not only are you just taking that money back out, you're reinvesting it. So every dollar you come out goes into a multiplier. And the easiest and most obvious and most tangible one is put it back into PPC and 3x at least every dollar you get back. You should be able to drive 3 to 12% growth in your business just by using reimbursement cash flow. That's it, Augustus. That's my contact details. Again, QR code takes you through to my LinkedIn, or there's my email, jim@getida.com. So thank you very much for your time and very happy to take any questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. We keep a little bit of slide so that people can scan your code. And yeah, very nice insights, a lot of detailed tips. I think you can switch off your slide so that you see, you see yourself. I have few questions here. Actually, Adorete asks about Getida. From my understanding, Getida helps to claim money from Amazon for goods that could not be located. Is that correct?
Yeah, there are a lot of claim types, but about 80% of the cash flow that comes out through reimbursements is related to inbound. So specifically, you ship in 1,000 units, Amazon says they've received 900. There's a discrepancy of 100 units. Or you ship in 1,000 units, 1,000 are received okay. Amazon, being this incredible machine, then redistributes those units across 20 FBA centers in order to do the prime optimized delivery. So when that pallet of 1,000 units gets broken down and redistributed, these are all potential failure points. So what we do is it's almost like an Apple tile. We almost put a tile in every SKU that comes into Amazon and we track its entire life. And if there's ever a discrepancy or a mistake, our platform identifies that. And then we have a case team that file on your behalf inside Seller Central like a VA and gets the money back for you. We pull about, we're the 6th largest data pool now through Amazon's API. We audit about $25-30 billion a day in revenue. So we ingest a huge amount of data. we find the discrepancy, we file the claim, we get the money back, and then we charge a percentage of what we recover.
Yeah, so the same person wants to clarify. So some of my units could not be located, and it was a long process to send in a claim. Hopefully, Getida can help me. Is it true?
Yes. I mean, I don't want to promise because this might be some uniquely complicated case, but yeah, if you Amazon will normally ask for a proof of purchase in the form of an invoice. We have a way of removing that need, but typically they ask for a proof of purchase and an invoice to show you own the product, and then they want proof of delivery to show that you've actually delivered it to their warehouse. With those two, proof of delivery and proof of purchase, you should have a black and white valid claim. There may be something that I don't know that I'm happy to talk to you about direct, but typically we should be able to get the money back for you.
So yeah, the best place or the best way to do it, just follow the link below in the description for Getida. Sign up with that link. If there is a possibility, mention this live stream so that Jim and his team can refer to you from this session. And Adoretti says thank you. Before we move on with few more questions, I wanted to mention that earlier I mentioned that we are doing SellerFest Online, and together with the 40 speakers which are participating in this virtual event, we also created the VIP package. VIP package is additional content which is not appearing publicly on our YouTube channel. Every expert sent to us additional video. Some videos are 10 minutes, some videos 30. There is one video with the whole course for 50 minutes about PPC. And yeah, you can find the link to this package in the description below. And also one of the, not Jim, but Yoni, his colleague, also provided for us a video for this package. So Yoni is one of the co-founders of Getida, and he sent another 38 minutes video with additional tips, hacks, and secrets. So probably it's a lot of nuggets how you can get more cash flow to your business. And yeah, you will get there. And now, let's see, there was another question about, let me find it. Keith is asking, how do you find the best converting keywords? Are you able to help with this?
Yeah, of course. So that's in brand analytics. So that you will be told in brand analytics exactly what you are converting best for. So assuming that you have written a half decent listing, you will be converting already, and brand analytics will tell you what you're converting for. So what I would then do is I would be this is where you have to be very honest with yourself. Have a look at your image stack, and does that image stack really tell the story? You really want to be able, your product should be able to be sold without any description. The images should do everything between the infographics and the copy in the image and the packaging in the image. That should sell the product. And so obsess about the click-through rate, obsess about your image stack, but importantly, make sure you're obsessing about focusing the image stack on the keywords that you are converting well on already, or you want to move towards. That's what this Amazon's Choice Badge strategy is all about.
All right, I have a few more questions about the badges, because it's quite interesting topic. Not so many people are talking about that. So how hard is to maintain Amazon Choice Badge or bestseller badges? I guess we are targeting Amazon Choice. So yeah, do you know how long does
bestseller, you just have to be shifting more units. It's, you know, unit velocity is the term everyone uses. You have to be shifting more units per day or per hour than anyone in the subcategory that you're in. So that's bestseller badge. It's about the number of units per hour. Amazon's Choice is about, there are some other factors like how well you're keeping inventory, and there are some soft KPIs in the background, but the main weighting is to do with relevancy, and relevancy is how well you convert for that search term. So if, you know, everyone talks about the garlic crusher, or let's come up with a different example, but, you know, let's, it's about conversion. If I type in mouse pad, or I want a gaming mouse pad, I will convert, and I convert higher than anyone else on gaming mouse pad. The algorithm will go, this is the most relevant search term, and we're going to give it a product to that search term, and we're going to give it Amazon's Choice Badge for the search term gaming mouse pad. So
Cool.
Amazon's Choice is all about converting for a given search term. That's what you're trying to do. And Brand Analytics tells you how you're doing on that.
All right. And okay, I think you answered. So I wanted to ask a few more questions. If a product has low sales but better reviews and ratings, is it possible to get this badge? Or it's only about these metrics you talked about?
Yes, because if it's a low volume search term, it will have relatively low sales because there's not that many people searching for it. So that's what you got to try and find is ideally you want to be picking and converting on search terms that have some sales volume, but don't go too competitive at the beginning, which is what everyone will tell you because it's harder. So, look for the slightly longer tail search terms and start converting best on those, get the Amazon's Choice, and then start building.
As a community, can we retire garlic press as an example, please? Just
I know, it's shocking. I can't believe I haven't said that. I should be shot. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all good. Great session. A lot of interesting tips. And before we part, I wanted to show Getida's website. So one more time, I know Jim mentioned a few times in the session. Mention one more time how Getida helps Amazon sellers. And the best part is kind of it's for free for Amazon sellers until you find some money. But it doesn't cost the audit, right?
It's very simple. Like, why do it? Because we'll generate 1 to 3% extra revenue in your business. We're 90% set and forget. We have a lot of patented technology around what we do. So not only are we generating 1 to 3% extra revenue, you're not having the distraction factor or having to hire or have an internal team go and do it themselves. And we're very motivated by our pricing structure. We don't get paid if we're not successful on a claim that we file. So if Amazon rejects our claim, we don't get paid. We only get paid when we're successful. No setup fee, no subscription. And if we don't get the job done for you, we don't get paid. So we are very much incentivized to be the best we can at reimbursements because that's the only way we get paid.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jim. It was a pleasure. Thank you for supporting OrangeClick. Thank you for bringing lots of tips for Amazon sellers. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Thanks, Augustus. Thanks, guys.
Bye. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where you will learn how you can optimize your product listings to tune in to the Cosmo and Rufus. These are the algorithms which Amazon is using and Jim just mentioned, but we have the whole video, the whole session about 1 hour or longer, which talks about all these algorithms and how can you go about that.